Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our poster presentation. The title of our presentation today is Network Science for All, Positioning High-Need Youth for Success in Pursuing STEM Pathways. I'm very excited to welcome you here and to have the team share their description of this project with you. Next slide. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge who is a part of this team. So this is a collaborative relationship between Boston University and Sociedad Latina. At Boston University, we have faculty, researchers, and students from the School of Education, as well as the physics department. And what we're very excited about, we also have a member of our team who's in the Office of Government and Community Affairs, which is quite exciting. And Sociedad Latina, on that side of our project, we have everyone from the executive director of the organization to the program director, down to the STEAM program coordinators that are working directly with the youth. So this is a really exciting group of people that we get to work with. Next slide. I'd like to give you just a brief overview of the activities that we've gone through this past year. So we started in fall of 2020. Actually, the grant started in the spring of 2020, and we did work together through the spring and the summer, but in the fall, we started a new round of our work together, focusing first on our network science lessons. In these lessons, we were using basic STEM principles and connecting them then to network thinking. And specifically, we were using models of disease and epidemiology in relation to COVID to help students learn this network thinking. We moved on in the spring to the MyCap lessons, and that's my career and academic plan. So this was the career development focus of the work together. Our lessons here were on optimizing your learning, the self-reflection part of identifying interests and your values and your needs, developing a personal roadmap for your future, and then linking career development to civic engagement, and also using STEM role models as part of what we do. We culminated then this spring with the youth working on a public service announcement. So we had 3 groups of youth working together and then integrating their work into this PSA video that hopefully you'll have the opportunity to see in a little bit. So that's the overview. I'm going to now turn it over to, I believe is it Isaiah next?
Yes.
All right.
So hello, my name is Isaiah, and I'm one of the STEAM team program coordinator at Sociedad Latina. During our network science club, youth were able to analyze network science and begin to learn how to work with data. This took place in many different forms, such as working with circuits and even infectious diseases. Through a variety of digital platforms and activities, students were able to explore different types of networks and what comes out of them. One of our youth's favorite activities has been the VAX game. You've had the opportunity to explore how network science could be used to solve, minimize the spread of the COVID virus through this game. Next slide, please. During this activity, youth explored how a virus could or would spread through a community or population of people. Using VAX, the youth had to find out the best way to contain the virus. There were multiple different strategies. There was multiple different settings starting from easy to hard. Here we have a screenshot of the game set at an easy level. Each node represents one person, and each line represents the connection. Youth are given 5 vaccines and are encouraged to think as an epidemiologist whose job is to be as strategic and analytical as possible when it comes to dealing with infectious diseases. Once the easy level has been completed, students are able to move on to more complex levels. You shared their screen and shared what their approach were. Some students explained they were trying to vaccinate the most connected nodes first, while other students explained they wanted to break up the connection as much as possible in order to contain the spread. At the conclusion of this activity, students discussed the importance of vaccines and how this affects our day-to-day lives. Next slide, please. Okay. You've expressed how network science interests them more than their other school subjects, such as math and ELA. You've also talked about how they love network science because it related to their current situation. But lastly, you were most proud of having the opportunity to talk about real world solutions and the problem at hand, but especially on how they would handle the situation. And next, I'd like to pass it to my colleague, Ms. Jasmine.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Flete, and I am one of the STEAM Team Program Coordinators. I will be showing you some examples of one of our career exploration lessons. In this lesson, students explore the question, who am I? Before beginning the actual career exploration, we wanted students to begin to establish a clear sense of self-identity. We want them to identify who they are, what their values are, and what their passions are. This is the conversation that we had in this lesson. We always begin our lessons with a fun question. The purpose of these questions is just to get the adrenaline pumping, but also to get the youth comfortable to have a discussion on a relatable topic. So our fun question in this lesson is, what is something that made you smile today? We wanted to set the mood as a fun, happy, and positive one as students began to reflect on themselves. Our goals for this lesson were to show how the skills that they either already have or are currently developing to help their future job opportunities, introduce them to the ONET platform for future or for further career exploration, and increase their understanding of how their skills connect to jobs. We can move forward to the next slide, please. So we begin the conversation with a fun and engaging activity where students were to draw clues of what their dream jobs look like. The rest of the class was supposed to guess what each other's dream jobs are. So students had about 5 minutes to draw before the guessing began. It was a super engaging activity with a high participation rate. We had students draw clues for architect, nail technician, video game programmer, photographer, and filmmaker jobs. And we also had students put in images of traveling because they couldn't identify a dream job, but they knew that they wanted to travel in the future because they love to travel. And we can move forward to the next slide. Awesome. So this fun activity led into a conversation about soft skill identification. We explained some examples of different soft skills and had students identify which ones they think they already have. And we then discussed complex problem-solving skills. And once again, had students discuss which skills from the mention they feel they have. We can move to the next slide. We use this to transition into the ONET, where students would be able to check off the skills that they had identified, in addition to the others that are listed on the platform, in order to achieve a long list of careers where these skills are important and they're needed. In breakout rooms, students were able to explore the careers together and identify one thing that they learned or that they found interesting. After a long conversation about all of their strengths and skills, we wanted them to also think about the skills that they want to develop. So after having looked through the job descriptions and after having read about the jobs they found interesting, they were able to learn about the skills needed in addition to those that they already have. We wanted to identify these skills as the skills that they would like to develop and strengthen. So I will now pass it on to Cecilia.
Everyone, my name is Cecilia Nardi, and I'm the Director of Community Relations here at Boston University. And I wanted to just share briefly about some of the STEM role models that we invited as an extension of some of the career exploration lessons that were going on with the youth. And we were able to invite some of the folks who work at the NEEDLE, which is the National Emerging Infectious Disease Laboratories at Boston University, to share some of the pathways that they took to their different careers in STEM. The NEEDLE is a biosafety lab, and it handles some of the most dangerous pathogens. And we were able to take a virtual tour with some of these staff and researchers of the simulation lab, and they demonstrated some of the safety protocols and the general lab environment at the NEEDLE. And it was an exciting way to show where research and science work takes place in a lab setting, but also that there are other careers that support those roles and are very necessary as well. And in general, there was a lot of student excitement to have a somewhat interactive, although virtual experience to see these careers in action and get a glimpse. And this helped increase interest in the science career pathways. So we are looking forward to continuing to invite mentors and hopefully have these interactions take place in person in the future. And with that, I will turn it back over to the Sociedad staff.
Hello once again. So what the PSA focus on and its purpose. Youth work on a session-long civic engagement project that required them to collect information and resources about COVID-19 and the vaccine. Through Q&As, question and answers, with local professionals who were vaccinated and sharing their experience, and through various lessons involving learning about virology and using the vac simulation, students were able to create a PSA video that explained the importance of the vaccine and that encouraged their communities to get vaccinated. During the development, you've had 3 committees to choose from and to join and support. And efforts of encouraging youth voice, youth led the communities with the guidance and support of one of the STEAM coaches and coordinators from Social Latina. The 3 groups were the note takers, visuals, and film committee. We will now see our youth incredible public service announcement video. Thank you.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
man, have you seen the news?
No, what's going on?
That vaccine, I'm so scared of it
Why?
because of the side effects. Have you heard of what's been happening with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine? People have been getting blood clots, man. I don't want that.
Man, don't be like that. No one has died from the vaccine, and only like 6 people from hundreds of thousands have ever gotten bad side effects. I got the vaccine, and so did my mom, and we're just fine.
Wait, you got the COVID vaccine? When?
Yeah, dude. I got mine on the 24th of March. I got the Pfizer, and it's the worst thing that happened to me was a sore arm and a headache for literally only a day.
How were you even able to get an appointment? It's so exclusive. And how do I pick which vaccine I want?
What? It's the easiest process ever. Just go to www.vaxfinder.mass.gov. You can sign up for the vaccine right there.
Oh, okay. But I don't want to go into a clinic and be exposed to COVID.
It will be okay. All you have to do is wear a proper mask, wash your hands often for at least 20 seconds, and remain 6 feet apart from everyone, and you should be fine. Don't be whack. Get vaxxed.
Yeah, I'll go get vaxxed. Let me call the number.
Awesome. All right. So Sociedad Latina had the amazing privilege to serve 44 seventh grade students across 7 classrooms at the O'Brien School through Campus Without Walls during our spring session. Campus Without Walls allowed us to offer synchronous remote access to advanced learning opportunities. So Campus Without Walls is a framework that leverages the power of public schools and technology to promote greater equity, access, opportunity, and liberation for all students. The goal is for all students to be intrinsically motivated, to gain greater access, and to take full advantage of a wide range of learning opportunities that will prepare them to thrive in a rapidly changing digital world during COVID and beyond. We met with our youth on OutSchool every Monday for 6 weeks during their advisory periods. And for students unable to attend for reasons including sick time or just technical difficulties, asynchronous versions of our lessons were also available on OutSchool, the platform that we use to engage and host our students.
I will briefly talk about the RCT study that that we consider as a big impact that this project has had. So we were approached by a program at Harvard that works with 79 rural districts in New York and Ohio. So they agreed to do a randomized control trial on the career lessons we have designed. So the Who Am I lessons in particular. So as we collaborate with different organizations like BPS, Advestors, and Harvard, we see these different versions of the lessons with some modifications, which in turn really helped us further improve our lessons and make a greater impact. So I want to move on to some of our evaluation results from last summer and the academic year. Last summer, we conducted a separate samples pre-test, post-test on the network science and career lessons, which included both quantitative and qualitative measures. I will talk about the quantitative section, and Luis, one of our doctoral students, will discuss the qualitative results. As well as a qualitative study we conducted regarding students' career identity. So from the separate samples pre-test, post-test, we found that students' self-efficacy improved after the lesson, as you can see from the bar graphs here. We had a small sample, understandably. We were going through a huge transition to remote learning due to the pandemic. There was a small increase after the lesson on network operation and the second set of graphs. But for the other 3 lessons here, we see a huge increase in their self-efficacy in understanding science concepts and also being able to describe the careers that are aligned with their skills. So Luis will discuss the qualitative results of our evaluation.
Thank you, Chang. So the second portion of the self-efficacy evaluation was the qualitative aspect. And here on this slide, you can see the increase in self-efficacy based on the students' responses. So for example, in regard to the network science question, how do vaccines help stop the spread of new disease? You can see that the students were able to speak on how disease spreads and how the vaccine can block the spread of disease. And this is a much more detailed understanding compared to the pre-sample responses that are more vague and yeah. And then we observe the same theme in the career lesson topics. How would you describe yourself to others? Where in the pre-response, the student describes himself as quiet and introverted. And then in the post-test response, we can see a more, the self-efficacy start to come out in the way that the student responds. So while the student still identifies as quiet, he also identifies as willing to try, or the student also identifies as willing to try new things. And this also applies to the second portion where the student describes their ability to adapt quickly. And this is very much in line with self-efficacy and the student's belief in their ability to achieve a goal and adapt to changing circumstances. And for the third evaluation, we evaluated the students' career narratives, and we observed similar trends in this survey as well, where students were asked to identify a goal and then identify a course or steps that they would need to achieve in order to reach their goal. And before, during the pre-test, students were able to identify short-term goals such as getting good grades or finishing middle school. And then afterwards, during post-test, students were able to identify a wider variety of occupational goals, such as becoming a banker, a pediatrician, and working at NASA, which is STEM related. And that's one of the findings that we also saw, is that students were identifying STEM occupational goals as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? And then here on this slide, we can see the differences in responses, and the wider variety also applied to the skills required. So compared to the pre-test, students were able to identify a wider variety of skills that they would need in order to reach their goals. So for example, studying or learning about photography, learning leadership skills, developing communication. These different skills that the students identified are skills that will help them reach their goals. So for example, working at NASA or becoming a pediatrician.
Awesome. So you will now hear from one of Sociedad Latina's STEAM Team Youth, Stephen Liu. He's a rising 8th grader at the Mario Umana Academy, and he has shown his eagerness to grow through his participation in STEAM Team.
My name is Stephen Liu. I go to Mario Umana Academy. I'm currently in 7th grade. I started Sociedad Latina STEAM Team 1 year ago in 6th grade. This is my 2nd year with STEAM Team. I got interested in Sociedad Latina STEAM Team because of my love for science and the fact that I heard a lot from friends in 6th grade that there was going to be clubs and I wouldn't want to miss out. I also attended STEAM Summer Learning Academy with Sociedad Latina. STEAM Team helped me show my pride for science because I could never show it because I had nobody to really like it with me. The STEAM Team Summer program was very great, and most of it got me to the point where I started to believe that, hey, this is cool, I want to do this. My love for science was a bomb. It would be like medium, and then as soon as I started getting more into the program, it just blew up. I just started loving science way more. Every day I'm like telling them, hey dude, if you like science, well then here's a really fun program that isn't just a lesson, it's both a lesson and fun. Look for the things that would go with space, like astronomy, that I really, really love. And I would see that a really cool thing that it had was it also had like the average like
Salary.
yeah, salary. I love that. That wasn't. I love that so much. And a little weird thing that I tried to do that everybody else thought was strange was, instead of trying to save the most amount of like little, say, people, because I did do that, and I did get more than 70% on the last and hardest one, and I am very proud of that. But I tried to see what was the worst thing you could do, and then I tested out with that too. I would assume that if it had more of a push into showing other people what it's like, then it would be really popular. The funny thing is that the school of my dreams that I actually want to go to, the university that I want to go to when I grow up, is BU. Thank you. My name is Stephen Liu, and thank you for listening.
Love that video. So glad that we included that. And we hope to see Stephen at BU sometime in the future. Thank you all for being here today, for attending our poster presentation. Please check out the poster itself. We have listed here all of our email addresses. If you have questions, please do reach out to us, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much. Have a good day.